Well, I'm guessing that you guys heard by now that Kamala Harris is expecting to run in 2028. So this is something that we really need to examine, not only her past track record, but her current track record and some of the things that she's talking about.
What the hell was that all about?
Because we really need to talk about the most boring word in the English language that is actually a weapon that's used against us, against our households each and every day.
Huh? What?
Sustainability. We're living through a period where politicians from the local city council to the governor's mansion are treating our bank accounts like an infinite resource. They stand at these podiums and they pass feel-good legislation. They talk about equity, they talk about infrastructure, and they talk about the future, but they never talk about who is actually picking up the tab.
Really?
I want you to look at the math of our own lives right here in 2026. We are paying more for property tax. I owe the IRS 15 grand. I don't care if somebody knows it. More for sales tax, more for basic utilities than you've ever had in the history of your lineage. And yet, when you look out the front door, do you see the return on our investments? Do you see the return on your investment? Do you see the equity that they promise? I know I don't. You see the cracked pavement, the potholes in the street, the same failing schools, and the same lack of tangible economic protections for all American people, especially Black Americans. They are running a high-end Ponzi scheme where the benefits are symbolic, but the costs are very, very real. The Uniparty has a specific strategy. They want to create a permanent state of dependency by taxing the working class into a corner where you can no longer afford to own anything. Do you think that Kamala Harris is going to talk about the current days and problems that everybody is going through? Does she have a Black agenda? Or she's going to go with the same old playbook of supporting illegal immigrants and people who are newly inside the country instead of supporting the American people? That's just the questions that a lot of us should have. But she went to the Nothing Action Network and spoke with no other than Al Sharpton. Yeah, it's probably the National Action Network, but we don't never see any action from this particular network. And here's what some of the things they had to say.
Yeah. I remember that there was the meetings, and they had three of you to meet and be the committee to get it through. And the last minute, the Republican who loved Donald Trump, hugged him by the waist, turned on us. You called me and said, Rev, I try my best, but I think we're losing our ally. Mm-hmm. You championed that about voting rights. Talk about that.
Yeah. So to your point about poll taxes, literacy taxes, this is not new in our history. And it's an agenda that has been in play since we got voting rights. And to fast forward to today, yes, it's more of the same. And so the way it is taking on is first they're pushing redistricting. First, remember, they were pushing redistricting in red states. And then blue states said, all right, well, we're going to play fire with fire then. Okay. So that was right. They have been doing the work through it for years of building a Supreme Court that is configured as we now have it. And they're about to make a decision on Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. And I am sad to say, I do believe they are going to kill it. And that will mean that the legal tool that we have to be able to litigate in a court what are clearly racist, influenced laws to prevent certain people from voting, we're going to lose the tool that we have had before.
Again, the only question I have for this, who are they preventing from voting?
Well, I don't know.
They then are proposing the SAVE Act. One must ask, save who? And what they will do is basically, to your point, Rev, to register to vote, you're going to have to prove your citizenship by a passport or a birth certificate.
And I know a lot of the Black people that are at this conference or whatever they have in here is asking, okay, that's not a big deal. I would like to believe that over 99% of American citizens, let alone 99% of Black Americans, have a birth certificate at least. We might not all have a passport. because a lot of us may not travel, okay? But I would like to believe that 99% of the American people have a passport.
So it is estimated that over 20 million Americans don't have a passport or access to a passport.
Again, I might have misstated when I was talking about the passport. We all have a birth certificate. That's just my belief. So what are you going to say about the millions of Americans who don't have passport, rather the 20 million Americans who do not have passports?
And to get one is at least $100, if not close to $200, which is it's essence a poll tax, right?
And the thing she's trying to convince people is that it's absurd for American citizens to go out and pay for a $100 passport. Now, granted, you did subsidies, you gave restitution to illegal immigrants. You guys forked out billions of dollars in taxpayer money for people who are not even citizens in the country. And now you're crying about $100 and $150 for a passport. Do what the government always does. Provide a subsidy for American citizens within the next 3 years to get their passport for $50. It was $100, and we know that the majority of Americans cannot afford that. Then have them to do $50.
Yes, definitely.
Oh, they don't have enough funds and money to get and apply for their passport. You do it online. You go to CVS. You go somewhere. You get your passport picture taken. You send it in. Make everything just $50. I don't care how you do it, because we can get into all the details. Well, they got taxes on this and it costs this amount of money. They make all these excuses. When these politicians want something to happen, don't they create a law? Don't they create a piece of legislation? Isn't it a bill that they try to get passed? Isn't it subsidies that they put in place to make things cheaper? Even if it's for a temporary time. They can do this. They've done it. They have all these pieces of legislation that make things cheaper. Didn't they make insulin $35 or $20 a vial or whatever per unit, however it's measured? They've done this consistently when they want things to pass. So don't give us a problem of the SAFE Act. Give us of some possible solution, or how you're going to counteract the SAFE Act, how you're going to provide resources so American citizens, so everyone can get a passport. Don't give us the issues without the solutions, Kamala Harris.
On the birth certificate piece, well, if you are a woman who got married and took your spouse's name, you are among the over 60 million women in America who are in that situation, which means that if you need to prove your citizenship with your birth certificate, it will not match, for example, your driver's license, which again is an obstacle. Because already you gotta leave work to vote. You gotta have somebody take care of the kids to vote. You gotta figure out, is that the day that you can actually get to wherever the polling place is? All this is happening. What else is happening?
I mean, what is she saying? Is she bumbling and tumbling and fumbling all over her words?
And I had somebody behind me who was mumbling terribly, mumbling.
See, what she's trying to do is take a very small issue and make it gargantuan. That's what she's trying to do. She's, again, fear-mongering the American people, especially Black people, with the whole non-action network or the Nothing Do Action Network or the National Action Network. She's trying to make a very minuscule issue something much larger than what it really is. Well, you know, if you're a mother or if you are a woman and you got married and you had a child underwater, deep sea, 250 beneath the sea level, she's coming up with all these extraordinary circumstances to box you in to a very particular situation that is really going to have people reeling, and then she try to bring it into a broader stance. Then how are you going to get to voting? You have a baby. How are you going to do these things? Let me tell you how resilient Black Americans are. If we want to vote, we find a way to vote. We'll have our cousin, we'll have our brother, our sister, our grandmother, our auntie, our aunt, watch the kids, bring the kids with us. We will find a way to get whatever we need to get done to be done. How do you think Obama won 2 presidencies? Because of the Black vote. Do not give us all these damn excuses on how you're going to try to finagle immigrants inside of this and how you're going to support them. This is what the Republicans are doing to try to filter out people who are not legal in our country. I don't agree with most of what the Republicans do from a social liberal standpoint. But when it comes to this, I do agree. We need better guardrails and barriers in place so people who are not citizens of this country do not have the right to vote. If you're not a citizen of these United States of America, you should not have the right to vote in any capacity. I don't care if it was local, state, or federal. And this is what they're trying to do. The Democrats are once again trying to box in illegal immigrants and people who are not even citizens of our country. I don't care if you're here on an H-1B visa, you're a temporary or a permanent resident. You need to be a U.S. citizen to vote for the most powerful office in the country. And this is why the Democrats lost in the first place. Even though there's been many people like, you know what, I'm not voting for either one. Then some people like, well, Kamala Harris is doing this against the Black community because we know how it highly affects us when you have all these people illegal inside of the country and they drop them off in the Black community. And all of these communities have been crying out and no one's still listening to them. But she's been trying to word salad and mix this up as if this is a large problem for Black people. They always come to us to fearmonger Black people first. So here it is, 2026, April, and she's 2 years ahead of time, a year and a half ahead of time of trying to scare Black people into voting for her or the Democratic Party once again. And I'm not saying don't vote for the Democratic Party. I'm not saying vote for the Republican Party. I'm saying we need to look at legislation. So what is she truly talking about? Then she's talking about it's a poll tax. Oh, we can call it a wealth extraction report because they are consistently spending more than the tax base can actually support. And then they act shocked when the middle class starts to evaporate and the working class starts to drop. Fair taxes all over again, day in, day out. Did you hear the core of that argument? That, oh, you may need your birth certificate or a passport. Where there's a problem, there's a solution. So when a politician will stop trying to tell us all the problems and solution, instead of giving us real, valuable, tangible solutions. Say, well, they're going to pass the SAVE Act. I'm going to propose a subsidy that's going to make you obtaining your passport $50. Or I'm going to make it predicated upon your yearly salary. So if you make $75,000 or less, the amount for your passport would be $50. If you make $100,000 or less, the amount of your passport would be $75, so on and so forth.
That call was perfect.
But instead of that, she made up this entire story in order to fear and scare people that vote for us. We're not going to do that. Why would we want non-citizens voting for any capacity within our governments, local, state, or federal?
But why?
It's a simple concept that these local politicians, these federal politicians seem to have completely forgotten. In every major city where Black people make up a significant portion of the tax base, we're being used as the ATM for the government social experiments. You want to provide subsidies? Democrats are for the poverty line or for the poor people or for people who are not doing so well, people who need assistance. Then start acting like it. Because what I've seen, whether it be under the Democrats or the Republicans, they raise our taxes to fund programs that don't benefit us, that don't benefit the American people. And when we complain about the cost of living, they call us selfish or tell us that we don't understand the greater good. Yeah, we understand the greater good, our greater good. Black Americans' greater good. The American people greater good. And here's something else she had to say that just kind of blew my mind.
The last point I would say on this, Rev, and I think I know it's a bit controversial, but here's how I feel about this. You know how I was talking earlier about how people are so transactional? I think we need to be transactional voters. I think, yes, it is right when we are trying to get folks to register to vote and to go vote. And it is absolutely right that we remind everyone of our history, especially when they're trying to erase it. We remind people of the lives, the bloodshed on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, the sacrifice of those young people at the lunch counter. We the assassination of Dr. King. There are so many things that we must remember about history so that what compels us to vote includes not.
Did you guys see the little griff in the middle? She kept saying we.
Wait a minute.
Now, if your mother is of Indian descent and your father is Jamaican, let's just go with that. What are you referring by we?
That's a damn shame.
Again, she is scapegoating off the lineage of Black Americans who are descendants of slaves in this country. And she's trying to take ownership of that and use our own lineage and history against us.
Hell no.
See, I don't care what political pundit from what political party try to run for office. Stop trying to pander to us and scapegoat us and gaslight us into voting for your political party. Give us the problem and then provide the solutions. Talking about we need to be transactional voters. We've been saying that for the past 10 years. Stop giving the Democrats our vote if we're not going to receive anything in return. You've got to hear all Black media state the same thing. Why are we continue to vote for a party who don't provide us tangibles? Why are we voting for a party that's not providing resources for our communities? Why? All these other demographics, the white demographic, the Hispanic demographic, the Asian demographic, the Native American demographic, all receive something for their votes. They go to their communities and they make deals. They come to our communities and they want to come to the cookout. They go to their communities like, oh, we're going to start a fund to help subsidize and offset some of the costs of your people going to college. They come to us and they're like, hey, I'm your sister girl. We're going to have a party. They take our money and they don't fix the roof. But instead, they build a fancy gazebo in the neighbor's yard and tell us that we need another $5,000 because material costs went up. That's how it feels. I feel like they take, and they never give. Even if we don't form a PAC, a political action committee, where Black Americans are contributing and donating $10, $20, $30 to support a political candidate, our vote is still powerful by itself. See, this is exactly what the political establishment is doing with our tax dollars. They support all these different groups. When it comes to the Democrats, not only do they do that, they do it for illegal immigrants. They are building gazebos for their special interest groups and their donor class while our roof is still leaking and caving in. Fact. Because we can go all through the affordability gap, even in 2026. The gap between what you earn and what it costs to simply exist become a canyon. And what that have you to do? Take out a personal loan, use your credit card for everything because you don't have the cash. And this isn't by accident. It's a policy choice. And you have people like her. And wait, there's going to be some Republicans going to do some similar things. Watch what I tell you.
Not only our civic duty, but honoring the ancestors. Yes. And here's what I'm suggesting in addition.
Okay. Is she talking about her Jamaican ancestors or her Indian ancestors? I'm just asking for a large population of the Black collective. That's all.
Get yours. Vote and say, I'm voting because I expect something out of this. You're not going to take for granted that I'm going to vote because I'm a good citizen and it's my civic duty to vote, so that you don't even worry about whether you're producing what I need because, oh, we can count on them to vote because they remember the Edmund Pettus Bridge. I'm saying it's okay to also give people permission to be transactional. And to say, if you're going to get my vote, this is what I expect. What? I'm going to vote because I expect to get something out of this. I'm going to get mine by voting. That's what I would offer. I think it's okay to give people permission to be transactional voters.
What in the hell are we just hearing?
What is this game?
Did Kamala Harris hear the sentiment, hear the direct, point-blank statements of the Black grassroots media that we've been saying for the past 2 elections, that if we're not voting on tangibles, we're not even voting?
Okay.
Now she's saying that we need to be transactional voters. She's the same person that was against transactional voters. Like, what about all these other people? I can't just do anything just to help black people. That's what she stated.
Houston, we have a problem.
That's what Kamala Harris stated. I can't do anything just to help black people. But matter of fact, I think I have it loaded. Let's kind of remember what she said.
Do you support reparations for black people?
Well, listen. Again, we had over 200 years of slavery. We had Jim Crow for almost a century. We had legalized discrimination, segregation, and now we have segregation and discrimination that is not legal, and is a barrier to progress. We have disparities around housing. We have disparities around education. We have disparities around income. And we have to recognize that everybody did not start out on an equal footing in this country. And in particular, black people have not. And so we have got to recognize that and do something about that and give folks a lift up. That's why, for example, I'm proposing the Lift Act. Give people who are making $100,000 or less as a family a tax credit, which will benefit and uplift 60% of black families who are in poverty.
So by default, it affects black families, but there's not a particular policy for African Americans that you explore.
But no, if you look at the reality of who will benefit from certain policies, when you take into account that they're not starting at the same place and they're not starting on equal footing, it will directly benefit black children, black families, black homeowners. Because the disparities are so significant. So if we focus on the specific issues that have resulted in the greatest disparities, and we understand that that's part of why we're doing it. Listen. The reality also is this. Any policy that will benefit black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that.
Oh, we're clear. I totally understand. So basically what you're saying, you gave all this information just to state that anything that we vote on is going to not only benefit us, but it's going to benefit everyone else. So the Lift Act, if we are already on the bottom, and she's talking about giving people a step up or lifting everyone up. If you lift everyone up, then we're still on the bottom. There's no equal playing field. Now in this video, she's talking about being a transactional voter.
I mean, my God.
So why in the hell? And well, Blacklogic, you just don't understand. She's learned the error of her ways. No, she is just repeating the same thing that she's been hearing for the past 10 years. And she realized how powerful the black vote was because you couldn't fast track 20 million people in time to vote Donald Trump out of the presidency so you can become president. Now that he has this mass deportation, you're thinking, well, we're going to need the black vote. So let me speak some of their language.
Distracting.
I don't want to be hoodwinked. I don't want to be bamboozled. I don't want to be tripped and or manipulated again. And I'm not going to say by the Democrats. I'm going to say by Kamala Harris. I just feel like those waters are already contaminated. Where are the policies that you are proposing that are going to help Black Americans, let alone America, but in the regards that it don't just lift everybody up, it decreases the wage gap. Because I understand when you're in that political office, you can't just make legislation on the surface that is for a particular demographic of people, but we do understand how things statistical can absolutely help a certain demographic of people. But now you're telling us to be transactional voters, the same thing we've been saying for over a decade. Now you're using the same things we've been saying. You're going to get on this conference and talk to black people as if we've been saying this for such a long time. This is crazy. I just don't want us to fall for the trick bag. Now, if she can provide proposed legislation and she's serious about it, then she could be a valuable candidate. But just for me, the water's already tainted with Kamala Harris. She's said so much and she's proven to stand behind her word, and you continue to look at somebody's track record. And then people will always make excuses for whatever politician that they like or love. They made excuses for President Trump, and I was just like, it's not a good choice. They made excuses for Kamala Harris, and I said, this is not a good choice. And look where we are today. Do we think that we'd be in a better situation or condition if Kamala Harris was in office? we probably wouldn't be at war with Iran. But I still believe that most Americans, especially Black Americans, will be doing economically bad. So, I mean, you pick your poison, so to speak. And the American people went out mostly and voted for Trump. So we picked our poison. I didn't vote for him. You probably didn't vote for him, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
But this is what I know. We either be the Democrats or Republicans. Taxes have increased under both. What we're looking at is a localized economic collapse, especially in urban centers by 2028. We cannot continue to increase the tax burden on a shrinking productive class without hitting a breaking point. We're going to see a mass exodus of Black American wealth from high tax states to economic sanctuaries. And the cities left behind will become hollowed out shells of bureaucracy with one left to pay for the feel-good promises of both political parties. What are the solutions? Because again, I always point out the problems like these politicians, but the difference is I'm going to try to at least give some solutions. You may not agree. They may not even be good, but we have to become budget hawks in our own communities. We must attend local school board and city council meetings and demand a line item audit of every single dollar. If a program does not have a direct, measurable, and tangible benefit for the native-born citizens who are paying for it, it needs to be cut. Yeah. We need to start from the ground up. Where are all these tax dollars going in these local municipalities when in our schools? Where is this money being allocated to? We have to stop voting for intentions and start voting for affordability. If a politician can't explain how they're going to lower the cost of our living, they don't deserve our signature on a ballot. We've done it before. We've executed the couch vote. And we'll do it on any representative who votes for a tax increase while our neighborhoods is still starving. This affordability crisis here in 2026, the current economic data shows that the cost of housing and basic necessities has outpaced median wage growth for Black Americans households by over 12%. And it's probably half of that amount for white households, so on and so forth. But nevertheless, we all are in a worse situation than we were before. Because it was getting bad when Biden was in office, and it got a whole lot worse when Trump came into office. So in the last 2 years, there have been a creation of unsustainable squeeze on the working class. We're talking about tax burden hypocrisy, because while federal and state governments claim a booming economy, who economy are they talking about? You know, I've been listening to a lot of people personally, and they've all been stating the same thing. They're on LinkedIn, they're on Monster, they're on Indeed, they're on all these job sites for careers, and they're applying to 10, 20, 30, 50 jobs, and they may get one interview. They will go to the last interview and do not get the job. These companies out here are posting jobs with no ambitions, with no right state of mind to hiring anyone.
No.
We're hiring anyone overqualified for the job. You need to have an associate's degree. I have my master's degree. Oh, okay. We'll give you an interview. Oh, well, over 100 people applied. We probably can't give you an interview. You get denied. You get an email 2 or 3 months later saying that you didn't get an opportunity to have an interview. It's almost like there's fraud, waste, and abuse, even in job postings on a lot of these job sites like LinkedIn. And this doesn't against LinkedIn. This against the companies that are posting these fictitious jobs that everybody's applying for, but no one's getting the position. We've seen jobs been taken down and then reposted as if the 500 people that apply for that job, that no candidate was good. Remember when the market was really good? When you apply for a job, you had 2 or 3, 4 jobs you could pick from. You're like, wow, well, this one pays this, but this has better benefits. Well, this is closest to my house, but traffic. I mean, you had options. Now there's no options, but they telling us that the economy is booming. That we're winning and winning and winning. No, President Trump, no one's winning. We're losing. And now the negotiations fail with Iran. So we're losing again. Stop having these damn politicians to lie in your face. Because we still having localized property tax hikes in our urban districts. and they have reached record highs, often funding initiatives that bypass the native-born Black community entirely. We have legislative overspending, because if we really look at analysis between 25 and 26, state budgets reveals a very constant trend of allocating billions to emergency services for who? Non-citizens. While the domestic infrastructure of our towns, our cities, and our states are failing miserably. And you're talking about being a transactional voter, Kamala Harris. What we need is focused economic grants, because they haven't been that fruitful or profitable for anyone. And they have been remaining very, very stagnant. I can only imagine. I can only imagine.
The asphalt breathes a heavy sigh, a sulfur yellow sky, cold steel in my pocket, and a fire in my iris. They mistake the silence for a surrender to the static, while I build a blueprint from the logic of the frantic. My spirit is a mortar, my resolve is every brick. The pace is high energy, the air is getting thick. I don't look for luck, I just look for the open seams. A midnight marathon, chasing high voltage dreams. From the basement to the roof, the view is getting clear. I'm harvesting the lessons that were planted by the fear. Internal fire climbing higher through the smoke. The city tries to bind us, but the spirit never